Did you know that you don't actually need to take a test to fly your drone commercially in the UK? I'm going to go over this along with 5 of the craziest differences in drone laws between the United States and the UK. And the fourth reason is the reason why I'm glad that I fly in the United States. Obviously, there are going to be some similarities in the drone laws between the two countries. You can't fly over 400 feet, you can't fly around airports. But I was pretty shocked to see the difference in the laws around commercial drone operations. In the United States, you have to pass the initial trust test. This is a free online 60 question test. You can retake it multiple times. It's really just to tell that, hey, you understand that there are laws that you have to follow as a drone pilot. This is really for recreational pilots as they get started. But then to fly commercially, you need to take the Part 107 test, which is $175 and consists of a ton of multiple choice questions that you have to get right. You have to pass above a 70, and if you fail, you can't take it for another 2 weeks. There may be some additional waivers that you have to get, but for the most part, you're good to go once you get your Part 107. It turns out that in the UK, you really only need to pass your operator ID, which is the equivalent of the free online trust test that the US has. Once you pass that exam and you register your drone and get your flyer ID, then you're all set to fly commercially. Hold on, there are some exceptions. Obviously, you might not be able to fly a drone over 250 grams. You may have to register all your drones. So you can fly commercially without taking any serious tests. But there are a lot of restrictions on that license, which is why a lot of drone pilots in the UK opt to get their VLOS test. This is similar to the Part 107 and it opens up the commercial opportunities that you're able to fly. I honestly just kind of found it fascinating that someone could get started in commercial drone work without even taking a serious test. Another difference with commercial drone work between the two countries deals with insurance. I don't know if this comes to a shock or not, but in the United States, I can fly over all these parked cars, all these nice expensive buildings, and I don't need any sort of insurance to be flying over, even for my commercial flights. This is different from the UK, where on every single commercial flight, you must have insurance. Honestly, I don't know if this is good for the UK or whether it's overkill, but it's interesting to see the difference between the two countries. I wonder if the UK has dealt with a lot more crashes where insurance is needed, or whether the US is just kind of doesn't really care and is sliding things under the rug. The third difference is probably one of my least favorites about the UK. Through this channel, I recently had a 17-year-old in high school reach out who's actually decided to start their drone business. It was so cool to see such a young, motivated entrepreneur wanting to kind of get after it and start their first business. It was so cool and so great. Too bad this would be illegal in the UK. It turns out you have to be 18 years old to fly commercially in that country. On one hand, I get that there's a lot of responsibility that comes with flying a drone, flying over property, and making sure you're doing the right thing. But I absolutely hate to think about the number of young entrepreneurs who are trying to start their side hustle who aren't because of these drone laws. It was so inspiring to hear this young kid's story, and it's unfortunate that this kind of isn't possible in the UK. Now, the fourth difference in drone laws between the US and the UK is that in the US, you actually legally have to be subscribed to this YouTube channel, whereas in the UK, it's only kind of a preference. Anyways, alright, seriously. The fourth difference between the US and the UK's drone laws, and one of the reasons why I'm glad that I personally fly in the US, it has to do with flying around people. The difference is that in the UK, you have to fly 150 feet away from any grouping of people. This may not seem like a lot at first, but when you really think about it, the shots that you see on screen and being able to capture different events and different venues aren't possible because of this law. Across the pond in the US, the drone law is a little bit more relaxed when it comes to flying around people. In the US, you're not allowed to fly directly over people. The way I think about this is if your drone was to come crashing out of the air, that it wouldn't be able to land on somebody. That's what allows me to capture all these different photos and videos around crowds, not actually flying directly over them. And the last difference in the drone laws between these two countries is definitely the lamest, but it's that in the US, you have to register all drones over 250 grams. In the UK, you also have to do this, but in addition, you also have to register any drone that actually has a camera. that's all I got for you today. If you enjoyed this video and you got some good information, you might like to check out this video over here.